What is going on YouTube? This is Acid Root. So I'm going to review the debut album by YNW Melly. Basically this product is called Melly vs. Melvin, and it came out in the fall of 2019. So the name of this particular cat here is right from the get-go. This particular folk had a court case pending as far as this pitch going to happen, which basically could have put him in prison for life as far as this first going to particularly happen with this. Just kind of the aspect as far as saying, now I'm not sure. I want to say that he might have had like some mixtapes to that particular kind of effect. I'm going to check that out. I'm going to kind of see. He did at least have some mixtapes in like the late 2010s as far as this first going to happen. But this is a particularly kind of strange album here. I just had to say within the pitch behind it, just because the forecast behind this album, I question if it was because the concept of having like the looming kind of court case as far as this first going to happen. But this is kind of a boisterous type album in terms of the sense of a more vibrancy factor about it. It's not the typical kind of swirled like dark trap when you think of folks like Young Thug and Lil Baby and Dub Baby, some of those type folks. It's 2010's trap, but it's just a lot more jovial and just a little bit more, not necessarily full-bound kind of court-centric, but just like a little bit more of dislike, a combination, I would say, of joviality, kind of upbeatness, and then a little bit of dislike, kind of typical kind of blue-collar pep that you would have for like some get up and go as far as this is going to happen. It's just kind of the aspect here. I looked on YNW Melly's Wikipedia, and he apparently says that he has split personality disorder, which is the concept. The bright side of things is Melly, the dark side of things is Melvin as far as this pitch kind of happens. So it's just kind of the aspect as far as saying you get those contrasts on this particular album. But the thing about it is I feel like it's not so much depicted that. There are a few darker type productions on here, but for the most part I feel like it's just more kind of more on the Melly side of things, just with like the concept. I mean, you're going to find that you'll get dark lyrics when you think of some of these songs like Suicidal and you think of the songs like Suicidal and 22 Threes as far as this pitch can happen. It's just kind of with an aspect as far as saying that these lyrics depict a lot more of like a rugged and foul type personality, but it's just over the affluence of more kind of engaging and like a more optimistic type sense production. So it's kind of strange how that fit kind of happens. Just, I would almost say progressive trap, but just with an aspect of just kind of having a more kind of blue collar upbeatness about it. So I just would say within that aspect, it kind of has that particular appeal. It's kind of getting you to hop to it within the aspect of just like the typical kind of trap format. There's not too many trap rappers I could really think of that particularly did this. It basically reminds me, if you were to take like Murder Was the Case, Snoop Dogg from like 94, 95, some of those particular type eras, and then put that over 2010's trap type productions. That's the basic concept of what I would say about this particular album. It just kind of carries like a theme, but it is kind of the concept that handles the split personality aspect within a relative good portion, just within the concept. Now, this is not going to get a rave score, this particular album, just because I kind of felt like the kind of upbeatness did not really suit the fare behind this product. There's just some moments on here that are a little bit more kind of smarmy than like the impact, like the quality behind it. But for the most part, it delivers on some moments that try some new things that just is a different taste of 2010's trap for most of the stuff that was kind of going on. So look after it. It's good, but it's just an aspect. I just think the aspect behind it could have had a little bit more shrillness, but it's not to say that there's not quality on here as far as this show is going to happen. So now look after it, just being able to say, so the basic concept, out of 14 songs on this particular album, I wound up recommending 8. So the pitch behind it is I recommend both the singles and then 6 other songs as far as this pitch can happen. So the lead single is 22 Threes as far as this pitch can happen. This is like a trap-centric kind of white-collar music to kind of get here. Just a cubicle hop and coffee break kind of mingle as far as this pitch can happen. Good off-scene type moments as far as this pitch can happen. So if you particularly watch shows like The Office, some of those type aspects, it's kind of the concept, but just more cubicle-bound type stuff just within the pitch, and more coffee break just within the tone as far as saying this more like kind of more near like a water cooler and some of those type pitches, just an aspect of where it's going to be more relative kind of blue collar, white collar kind of suit and tie type stuff in the pitch, or at least the relative aspect. Now, realizing that probably most cubicles and office spaces probably do not play probably trap music with an aspect behind it, I would think this would be really kind of uncommon to hear this particular song or much of any trap type music in general. But I would have to say within the pitch, at least the concept, maybe on like an off day where it's like a lunch break or some sort of shindig within a relative type sense. Now I realize 22-3 is a concept, but talking about weapons as far as those aspects seems pretty uncommon within the pitch, but it's at least a concept as far as saying that it does have that relative type format of something to listen to, maybe within the vernacular of that particular concept as far as what's going to happen. It's just basically trap-centric, white-collar kind of music, just with the tone behind it. At least attempts to bring trap to like an office space type area within the pitch, but I just look at it within the tone. It's kind of the concept behind it, but good type tone, very differential. It's very, like, can't think of too many folks that kind of have these particular aspects about it, and a little bit more, not necessarily full-bound Politico, but just kind of more just like prim and proper type sense that I'd say within the aspect behind it, just within the tone was kind of the concept, but bringing things back to more like to more typical kind of trap type formats would be Suicidal. Now this is probably on the Melvin side of things I'd had to say here, but Suicidal is like a woozy kind of morose trap ballad to kind of get here. Just a good evolution of Young Thug, Thugga, and Lil Durk, some of those type folks that I had to say. Just some radio haze. It's like some good radio haze to kind of get here, and it's just good for some outs as far as those pitches can have. So just the product, very similar to like Lil Baby as well as far as those pitches can have. One of those morose type ones. Now apparently Juice WRLD was on like the remix to this song, which is a pretty good pitch. I can see him on that particular song, and this probably happened. He was probably on this song just a month before his untimely death as far as this pitch can happen. So it's just been pitched as far as saying some excellent type fair to be able to get this here, and the product of this scene, and the particular product of this scene like trap balladry just within the aspect behind. So this is a good example. This is sort of stuff that this album probably needed way more of within pitch. I recognize the concept of what YNW Melly was particularly going through around this time, but still some good type fair to get this. That's a good type tone. But yeah, the promotion of this album is relatively snappy. So just to say, on this particular album here, the 6 songs I don't recommend, just to say it'd be easier to say the 6 songs I don't recommend on here would be Adam Sandler, Bang Bang, I Ain't Lying, 100K, Waiting on You, or Waiting on You, and I would say Nobody's Around. So as far as those fairs can happen, most of these are kind of the more optimistic type ones. I really feel like Adam Sandler was kind of a waste of a song dedicated to such a talented comedian as far as those fairs can happen. Not to say full bound like the song is horrible, it's just kind of concept. It's just the worst version of a song like My Slime or I'm a Star, just that kind of jovial, kind of chillax and just trap pop type aspects of just like some hangout type fair with homies and just more Instagram living kind of saunter as far as this pitch can happen. But it's a little bit, just the kind of tinkering kind of joviality about that one was just not as affable. I feel like Bang Bang is a decent production, but it's just kind of constant. This is some of those type ones that have like those snarling kind of lyrics just on like more jovial type productions. Basically, Bang Bang is to Nelly's song that he did with Ashanti and Akon, which I think was Body on Me as far as those first can happen. Just the pitch as far as getting that particular Summer Fried kind of dewy production, then putting like a more kind of rugged type fare about it. So that one didn't fit as much. I kind of feel like that was kind of what I probably would have chosen, something maybe like a 3-6 Mafia beat, something like that. It just didn't really have the aspect behind it as full bound. Some of these other type ones on here, like I Ain't Lying, 100K, and Nobody's Around, just kind of have these more jovial type productions that are just not very suited for the fare of this particular album. I just look after within the tone. I mean, it has like the particular bounce about it if you just need something more cheery, kind of more smarmy within the pitch, but just the affability behind it, I just feel like the trap type music kind of getting like this kind of cheesy. It's not necessarily full bound cheesy, because I feel like this cat pulls off at least the vibe of kind of having like some optimism about it, but it's just kind of concept that this is out of. I feel like the peppier kind of moments just don't synchronize as full bound, this kind of pitch, and then Waiting on You was kind of a religious type song that just didn't have as much full bound aspect about it. So just a lot of these more just within the pitch as far as saying, I mean, some of these type moments, there are some moments on here that have some of that joviality just kind of on a more kind of rougher aspect, like 22 Threes and like songs like My Slime and I'm a Star, some of those type ones, Illuminati, but it's just within the pitch as far as saying that these particular fairs just didn't get around to as far as this pitch kind of goes. So just talk about some of these songs I recommend on here. Basically, another excellent follow-up to Suicidal would be Two-Face as far as this fairs can happen. It's like a more dope, this is like some more dope kind of trap balladness kind of get here. Just a dark haunted malaise about this particular one. Just typical day dredge, I'd have to say about it. Pretty good concept of that, and it's pretty catchy just within tone. So good 1-2 punch. Good 1-2 punch as far as this fairs can happen with it. Just good aspect there to be able to get. And I'd have to say, basically some of these other type ones like Stay Up is a pretty quality one as well. This is kind of like a third helping of like the particular 1-2 punch of Suicidal and Two-Face. I'd say this is like a peering kind of soul and kind of contemplate to kind of get here. Just some extra thoughts that I have to say within some of those type pitches. Just dark kind of cruise around within the fair. Kind of like some good work shift after moments as far as those fairs can happen. So it also goes with 22 Threes pretty well within the pitch as far as those particular fairs can happen. So it's kind of within the aspect as far as being able to particularly kind of say it's kind of after effect of just like a long day just within caught up within the system, or just the pitches behind the concept of just like white collar type fare just in the dredge of it. Just kind of more office space type music just in the concept of just loosening up your tie and kind of unwinding within pitch, grabbing like some Burger Kings and pitches like that, Arby's, some of those type fairs. It's kind of within the aspect getting some barbecue, some of those type pitches. Just what I had to say, it was just kind of concept that, so just good pitches like that, some of those combination type ones, I feel like that's a pretty good pitch for that. My Slime is a quality one as well, as like a vibey kind of vanilla trap pop commute to kind of get here. Probably one of the more, this is one of the jovial type moments that works pretty damn well within the pitch. I say this differential type aspect that nails the particular vibe extremely well. I'd have to say just feel good kind of homies hang out. I'd have to say here just simple day fun. I'd have to say within those pitches and good for some outs as far as kind of happens. So it's just good type pitch. It's kind of the concept of this kind of being out and about just within the concept. Just really mood type music, something that Lil Durk or Lil Baby would do. Some of those type folks within the pitch behind it. Just typical kind of trap hop within the concept of it. Just a real vanilla type one. Just an aspect as far as those fairs going to go along with it. It's good type fare. It's typical kind of hangout noise, some of that particular type ness, but it's just not as much turn up as much. Like this particular album does not really have many turn up songs within some of those type pitches, bottle pop in some of those particular type fares. Probably with the concept of him being on papers as far as those pitches kind of happen, but it's just when the pitch as far as his typical kind of hangout, just the sort of slime sort of fare, just kind of time wasting pitches like that. I had to say time wasting pitches like that. I'd have to say. Illuminati's another nice one within that relative type fare. It's a little bit more neighborhood type bound, not quite as much amidst like the commute of it, but Illuminati's like a neighborhood noise kind of get here, just basic DAP pitches like that, some of that type fare, just around the particular hood pit or around the particular localized spots, some of that type goodness as far as those fares can happen. Just vintage kind of late 2010s trap, I'd say here, just definitely reminds of Lil Baby, some of those type folks, just right down to the cadence pitches like that, just some good type fare, just in the aspects behind it, just neighborhood stuff, just kind of saunters pitches like that, picking up some smoke, some of that type fare, just getting some swishers, some of that good type stuff, getting burritos, Chex Mix, some of that type fare within the pitch behind it, so good type pitch. I'm a Star is a real nice one as well as like a local chillax kind of check phone and just Instagram IG type tones kind of get within the pitch behind it here. PlayStation on some of those type pitches, just Spotify oozing some of that good type stuff within the pitch behind it. Just neighborhood, just kind of more localized, just more just housebound kind of aspects within it. Just good for some goodies as far as those first gonna happen. Just kind of like a miniature kind of house party, but more of like a shindig, more so than like a full bound kind of craze, kind of red cup type music. Just when the pitch it, just like this typical kind of mingle. Just maybe like a good this punch bowl kind of luncheon, something like that. Just something mild or medium sized within the pitch behind this typical kind of chillax type tone within it. Basic kind of milder dap as far as those first gonna have, but definitely good for some Instagram type times. Just when the pitch, Instagram was pretty booming like 2019, 2020, so it's a good type pitch for some of that relative type fare. And I think the only other song I haven't talked about on here is either I talked about Stay Up, so the only other song I haven't talked about on here is just Billboard. So Billboard's like a breezy kind of day drifting kind of get here, just a jovial kind of grab food and just neighborhood saunter. I'd have to say about the pitch behind it, just definitely some Young Thug vibes. It's kind of a miss the neighborhood pitches like that. It's a good concept, just kind of mild kind of cruise around, just whether just a light drive pitches like that, just some light drifting, some of those type pitches. A real kind of another good feel good type one within the pitch here, very similar to My Slime. A little bit of I'm a Star, some of those type pitches, just typical kind of just lighthearted kind of hop and bop within some of those type pitches with your pals, pitches like that, and basic kind of fizzy kind of beezy as far as those pitches kind of goes. So it's a good type concept for that. But so once again, I'm going to give this album like a 6.5 out of 10 as far as this pitch can happen. I mean, there's some good prospects and good overall relative kind of entertainment about this product, but it kind of lacks like a full-bound kind of dynamite song as far as those full-bound kind of pitches kind of happen. It has some good moments on here in terms of like the joviality. It's kind of aspect of just like some white-collar type moments and pitches like that. Kind of a little bit of broodiness, just an aspect of kind of having this two sides of a coin as far as those aspects kind of happen. But it's just kind of within tone as far as saying, I feel like this particular cat, YNW Melly, kind of had to pull his punches here just because he was on papers and wasn't able to really say, oh, I'm down. I mean, he did have like the weapon talk on here, but it's just within pitch as far as saying within the concept that you just don't have like the typical kind of noise of just getting tore up in some of those type moments of just, get crunk kind of TGIF type music, blackout type music within some of those stuff. It's just bottle popping to a high extent. So it just doesn't have that. It doesn't have that as full balance. It's kind of more congregate type music, basic dap, some of those type fares, just the pitch as far as saying the concept, a little bit of mingle, just within a more kind of Wednesday, Thursday kind of afternoon, mild evening type pitch within the fare behind it. It's just the aspect behind it, a little bit of unwind within a relative makeshift dredge, a little bit of that makeshift dredge in here, and a little bit of white collar kind of cubicle type music bops on here within the pitch. But it's kind of the concept, just the aspect of whether or not trap would be played there as far as those fares can happen. But I'll probably say the social score as a result would probably get I'll probably give the social score like a 7.5 or 7.25. I'll give it a 7.5 out of 10 because it does have some good moments on here. It's just kind of the concept that it just doesn't have those KOs as far as this pitch can have in terms of like the full bound. It does have some songs on this particular album that have over 300, 400 million plays. A couple of these do, according to Spotify, as far as this pitch can happen. But it's just kind of the aspect as far as saying I just feel like it's a little bit light on just like the concept of like this the full bound kind of socialness to like a more more Friday, Saturday touchdowns. So it's just one pitch, but it does have some good moments like I described, so good tight fair. In terms of the future, like apparently YNW Melly has put out projects in terms of his pending court cases as far as those pitches can happen within the tone behind it. So there is some other type ones. He does have some other mixtapes, some of that type fair, so some good type concepts for that. Nice, interesting aspect of an album as far as those pitches can happen. Just kind of within pitch, differential taste of late 2010s trap, but nails it in a good amount of fairs more so than it doesn't.